Hello guys, good evening.
Hi Ranjit, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, doing good.
Okay, how was that assignment thing went on? I mean, I know like the complete thing is not yet covered, but still, the half of it. Did you just go through the assignment first part?
Yes, Ranjit. I did one of the assignment, autocomplete.
Okay,
Yeah, it worked well.
it worked well. Okay, cool, cool. So, any other doubts on the database part as of now?
No, Ranjit.
You don't have any doubts on the database part?
No.
Okay, okay then, cool, no issues. So if you have any doubts, you can just ask me. Or if you don't have any doubts, then we should just wait for about 2 or 3 minutes for the others to join us, and we'll just resume with the session.
Actually, encountered one of issue while trying to setting up my database.
Okay.
The error message was the my create database command doesn't execute it, and it's the next command insert command.
Okay.
So, the issue is showing like you cannot insert because there is no table -x.
There's no table hyphen x. So that
Yeah,
means your on create. I mean, did your on create method give you any error, or while creating the database itself, it gave an error, or it didn't give any error while creating the database?
actually my code has both the sections on create and as well as the insert sections. So it actually throws error in the insert sections. It doesn't shows anything created related messages.
Okay, okay. So that's cool. So let me just have a look at it, and I'll just stop sharing my screen so that you can just share your screen and show me what exactly is happening, so that we can resolve the
Uh,
error.
Actually, Ranjit, I thought I should don't want to waste the time, so I copied your code and then alterate according to the
Okay, okay,
program
okay,
assignment what I need to complete. But I
okay.
still have that code. Can I share it now? But I have it in edit Notepad Edit Plus. Is it
Sure.
okay?
Then what you can do is you can just send that code to me, or you can just get it prepared during the next session beginning so that we can just have a review on that. If it is in the
Yeah, sure. Sure, Ranjit.
Okay, Anup, then that's cool. Apart from that, you don't have any questions or any doubts, right? At this point of
No, no.
time. Cool, Anup. Then. Hi, Chirag. Hi, Radhika. Hi, Swati. And hi,
Hi
Pratap.
Ranjit.
Yeah, hi.
Hi Ranjit.
Yeah, hi. So, yes, how did the assignment go, guys? Basically, so we did database in the previous session. So we completed like half of the database part, and the remaining, the next piece of that we'll be continuing today. So I think we have just seen how to create a table in the database, and then we explored with different methods which are involved in the database right now. And we also created custom methods for adding something to the database and retrieving all these things. I mean whatever we have in the database, so retrieving all the information which is in the database. So we have created a method for that also. So how did that go? If you I mean, you guys have any troubles or any doubts or any questions related to that? Swati, Radhika, Pratap, you guys have any doubts related to that?
No Ranjit.
So it's working perfectly well, I guess. So cool then. So how did the assignment part go? So the autocomplete ones. So I've informed in the previous session itself, like that assignment is a complete stretch of the database. So we have covered half of it, and the other half will be covered during this session. So I think now, have you just gone through the assignment, at least that which was sent to you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And how about you, Swati? Okay. So, Pratap, how about you? I mean, how did it go at your end? Okay. So, guys, yes, we should do one thing. Now we shall just continue with the previous session contents that we have seen. So now we have the previous session contents, that is we have just halted at this point. Now can somebody explain me what we did in the previous session? So we have something like main activity here, and if you just observe here, just have an overview of all these things that we have here. So we have quite a bit of things here. So we have all these things which are present right now, and inside this part we have something like the database helper, and we have main activity, and what is database helper doing, what is main activity doing, and what is the UI. So like in the UI part we don't have anything basically. So the UI is empty. So if you just take a look at it, look at the UI, it'll not even have a simple text view. So it'll be completely blank. So this UI we're not considering right now itself, because everything whatever we do right now is entered into the log system. So we just find the logs here, and using those logs we will just display the message automatically. So now what are we doing from the activity class? What are we doing from the activity class?
Instantiating the database.
Yes.
And executing the database methods.
Okay. So which statement instantiates the database? I think
So
we have about like all these things. So which statement helps us in instantiating the database?
So database helper DB.
I'm sorry?
The class name database helper DB.
This one?
And equals to new database helper.
Yes, this part will give you the declaration. So this part will give you the declaration of an object called as DB, which is of type database helper. And now this statement here is used to instantiate. So it's used to instantiate the state of this object called as DB. So here what we're doing is we are calling new. We are using a keyword called as new, and with the help of keyword new, we are allocating the memory to the object called as DB, and then we are calling the constructor of that particular database helper class. And along with that, what are we passing right now for the database helper class?
Active context.
Yes, we are just passing the applications context by using the keyword called as. Guys, can you just get hold of this one?
Sorry?
Guys, right now we have the database things created here. And guys, can we just have can we just have all the mics muted so that it doesn't disturb others? Yeah, thank you guys. So now we have the database helper class now, and with the help of this database helper that we have just created an object called as DB, and now using the object called as DB, we are just instantiating the object called as DB here with the help of calling the constructor which is present in the helper class. Is that clear? I think we have the others also joined right now. So now we have the database helper class, and we have instantiated the object DB with the help of database helper. And now this database helper is just calling the constructor here. And according to this constructor, this constructor requires the context. That is, it would require the context of the application. So we are passing the keyword called as this here, and now here we have the context, and this context is being passed to this super. So what is the help of super doing? I mean, what is the use of super here? Guys, can you tell me what is the help of super that we have learned during the concept while we were learning what is a constructor and what is the different uses of constructors and what is the super keyword doing? So can you tell me what is the help of super keyword?
Super will instantiate.
Super will?
Yeah, super will instantiate the parent class constructor.
Parent class constructor. Yes, exactly. Now, which one do you think is the parent class for your database helper?
SQLite Open Helper.
Yes, we have a class called as SQLite Open Helper, and this SQLite Open Helper class will help us. That is, SQLite Open Helper class is the base class, and from that class we are deriving it for the database helper class. Is that clear? So now SQLite Open Helper acts as a base class, or it acts as a super class, and now the super keyword. And now the keyword, now we use something like super here, and this super, by passing the context and the database name and this factory as null, which we'll be seeing a little later. Now we have the database version. So all these things are initiated and instantiated. And what happens when this line gets executed, or when this statement gets executed? Guess what happens when this statement gets executed? We had the comments written in the previous session. It helps us in creating the database itself. So it helps us in creating the database itself. And what is the onCreate method used for?
Creating the table.
Yes. OnCreate method is used for creating the table, and the constructor helps us in creating the database. So onCreate method helps us in creating the table inside the database. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear?
Yes, Ranji.
Okay. And how about others? Is that clear, or should I explain this concept that we have learned in the previous session again? Okay. Okay. So now, in the previous session, we had also seen two different methods. These two methods, the add student and get all students. So what are these two methods? These two methods are the custom. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Add student for inserting the data in the table, and get all students to retrieve the data.
Yes. And are these methods given by Android, or are these methods created by us?
It's created by us.
Yes, exactly. So these two methods are custom methods, or you can also call it as user-defined methods. So which we are creating right now. So in the add student method, the basic thing what we are doing is we have the database object. We have the database object created here called as DB, and we are instantiating that DB object. That is, we are giving the writable permissions. That is, we are giving the permissions to write into the database. So we are calling a method called as get writable database. Now this get writable database will give the permissions to write into the database. And now you have another class, that the object created for the other class called as values, and this values helps you in holding the value and the column name, basically key and a value pair, which tells where this value has to be exactly added. So to which matching thing this value has to be added will be managed by this object called as values. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So now we have a method called as insert. That is, we have something like db.insert, So db.insert, insert is a method which will accept the parameters as table name and the values. And the middle ones is telling you where the nullable. So the row at which you have to instantiate, you have to insert the values. So for now, we are disabling the row parameters here, and we are directly inserting the values into a table called as tab name. So this tab name is a variable which is giving the name of the table as student info. And now values corresponds to these parameters. That is, we are passing name and phone number here, and name and phone number is given with a key. That is where this name and phone number has to be given as the input. So all these things we are passing here, and then we're giving it to insert. And at the end, for the safer side, we're just closing it. And next method is get all students. Why do we use get all students? Yes, why do we use get all students method?
To retrieve the data.
Yes, to retrieve all the rows information, we use the method called as get all students. And currently we are printing all the student values in the log. So we're not displaying it using the Android's user interface. So if you just observe here, I'll just unlock the device. So basically we don't have anything on our user interface right now. The user interface is basically empty. So the user interface is empty, but the values are getting printed in our logcat right now. So if you just observe here, we have done about we have executed the program for about 10 times. So we have 10 different values which are present here. I think we have done it for 5 times. So we are inserting 2 values at each and every execution. So we have about 10 values present here. So we have starting with this, and just scroll down till the end. So now till here. So ID is 10. So we have 10 rows present in our database right now. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear? And
Yes.
now we have just learned how to how to retrieve all the student details. But our major task right now is to create a model. Basically, we need to create a model. Right now, we are just printing using this XML, printing using this log files. So basically, what does each and every row in the database consists of?
ID, name, and phone.
Yes, each and every row has 3 values. The first column gives you the ID, second column gives you the name, and third column gives you the phone number of that particular student. So basically you have 3 values for each and every row. So is there a data type to hold all these 3 values as a single thing? Like if you have an integer, if you have a single row, you can just get that single row value and put it as an integer, or put it as a string, or put it as a float, depending on the value which is there. But is there any kind of data type which holds all these 3 values? I have an integer and I have 2 strings. So is there a data type to hold all these 3 values in a single variable?
Array of strings.
Array of strings, because you don't have just strings. You have 2 strings and an integer.
Okay.
So if you see here, the first row is telling get int. Second row is telling string. Third row is also telling, third column is also telling string. So you have an integer and 2 strings present in a single row. So we don't have any such data type to hold, correct?
Yeah.
So now what do we need to do to have, to store such values? And now to just store such values, what we will be doing is we'll just create a model. Basically, we just create a model. A model means we just create a class. Is that clear? We'll just create a class, and each and every object of that class represents all these three values. So we have a single object, and that single object will be representing an integer, a string, and another string. Is that clear? So for that purpose, what we do is we'll just create a model. So here, till here, whatever we have learned, that we have learned in the previous session is done. And now what are we going to do is, now if somebody in the sense of some class like this, we have an activity class. An activity wants to get all the students to this particular class. Are you getting my point? When this get all student method is called, what this activity class expects is this class retrieves all the student details and returns all the student details back to the class where it is calling. So at that time, this should have a return type. It should not be void. It should be something else. Is that clear?
Yes, Rangi.
The return type has to be something else to return the values back to the caller. So what kind of return type will you create? You have multiple, you have a table. Imagine that you have a huge table like this. And this huge table has, a column, has the heading column here. So which has like ID is the first column and name and phone number represents two different columns. And now it has multiple rows. Just imagine something like this. You have multiple rows. Now you will, if you tell get all students, don't you think that if students are like if 20 or 30 students are there, or if some thousands of students are there, or millions of students are there, so now don't you think that this method is going to return all the students' value? You guys agree?
Yeah.
So
Collections. Both.
Yes.
Yes, you will be using some kind of collections right now. Just tell this is ID, this is name, and this is phone number. And now you have multiple rows present here. So I'll just give some dots here. No, we'll just give some dots here to represent that there are plenty of rows. And now, don't you think that if you tell get all students, it has to return all the students here? All the rows has to be returned to the caller. And now the return type should not be void. It should be a collection. Basically, whatever you have told, it should be a collection. So basically, I just name it as collection. That is, I'll just name it as a list. So basically, what we'll get is we'll get a list of all these things. So list is an array that we have used in the list. I think you guys have observed how to use list views, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And while creating list views, what was the array type that we had created, or what was the collection type that we have used?
Array list.
Array list.
Yes, you have used an array list, and even here you can just use the same kind of data structure. You can use an array list. So I'll just tell array list, and while doing that, we used to create some array list like this because I used to have only strings. But here, do I have a string or do I have multiple values? I have an int, I have a string, and I have a string. So I cannot use something like string here, correct?
Yes.
It obviously cannot be a string. So now it has to be something else. Now what is that something else? So that something else is called as the model, which I was talking. So what I'll do is I'll just create a new package. And again, you might have a question like, is it necessary to create a model? If you ask that question, no, it is not mandatory to create a model, but it is recommended to create a model because this comes under the best programming techniques that you have. So just create a package called as model. So what best programming technique which I was talking is like, you separate you separate things independently. Basically, you need to create independent modules. Sorry. So activity is an independent module. Database helper is an independent module. And again, the model itself is an independent module. So I'll just create a class inside this module. So I'll just create a class called as Java. I just create a Java class, I'll name it as student. So now this model class has something like student, and what all should be present inside student now in order to cater this problem now?
So ID, integer ID,
Yes, you need to have an integer and you need to have two strings.
strings.
Is that clear? You need to have
Yes,
an integer and you need to have two strings. So what I do
between
is,
sorry to interrupt you. I have a question now.
go ahead.
So if I'm not creating a class of a student to mention the type of the array list,
Yes.
how would be able to cater my need of getting an array list?
So yes, basically your question is like, what is the alternative solution for this without creating the model class?
Correct.
So without you, I mean, if you try to do something without creating the model class, then you must create or you must use the concept of hash maps. But if you again use hash maps, that will be, you know, a cumbersome process. So hash map, or you can also create an array within an array. So basically you need to create an array, and this array has again an array. Again an array which has, you know, three values. I mean, which again has an integer and two strings. So the problem becomes a little complicated, but we don't have to complicate the problem right now because we have the solution ready. So in any case, in any kind of case you come across, without creating an object, it'll become not exactly challenging task, because it just drags your time and it just bad for performance basically.
Yeah.
So nobody likes to, you know, go opt for something which is bad for performance.
Okay.
So in order to cater that, we'll just jump to this student itself.
Okay.
So since you have already told me that I need to create three variables, one of type integer and two of type strings, so I'll just go with this. So I'll just tell private int ID, and I have other things like private string name, and I have something like private string phone. So all these are the things that are necessary for me right now. Now, one more thing is I have made this as private. So now comes the play of the Java part that we had learned earlier. Like we had learned about what is polymorphism, what is inheritance, what is abstraction, what is encapsulation. So which four of these topics comes into place right now? How do you access something which is defined as private?
And I think abstraction, you are preventing something with not showing to the outside world.
No, that is encapsulation.
Okay.
Yes. Encapsulation is a technique wherein you bind the private type with a public wrapper, and then it will help you in transporting it from one class to another class. You're getting my point?
Yeah.
So basically what I'll do is I'll just create a constructor here. So there's no need to, I should create a normal constructor. I'll just create a default constructor right now.
And you can access it by getter and setter.
Yes. So basically we just create a constructor, a default constructor right now. And I'll just leave this default constructor as it is for now. But I'll create another constructor. Instead of you going here and then typing all this stuff, you can just use the shortcuts which are provided by Android. Instead of you just going, typing and doing all this stuff, you can just use the shortcuts. So what I'll do is I'll just right click here and I have something called as generate. Just click on this one and now it will generate the constructor for you. So you don't have to worry. I'll just click on constructor. And what kind of constructor do you want? Do you want the constructor to initialize all these variables? Then select all these variables and then click on OK. And you have a constructor for that. But if you want a default constructor, then you could just create a default constructor called as student. Now we have a default constructor here and we have a parameterized, or you can also call it as a constructor with arguments. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll just change the order of this one so that you guys don't get confused. So we'll go to generate constructor and this thing. I've just written the opposite way, so got generated in the opposite way. So now we have int ID, name, and phone number. So we'll just tell this dot ID equal to ID, this dot phone number equal to name, and this dot name equal to name, this dot phone number equal to phone number. And what will this keyword do here? What is the use of this keyword? What is the use
This will refer to the very next object which is created there.
Yes, exactly. This keyword refers to the, to the variable which belongs to the parent. Which is declared globally. This keyword points. If you tell this dot ID, then it means it is pointing to the ID which is present here. And if you just tell this dot name, then it will just point to the variable which is created here. If you tell this dot phone number, this will just point here. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have just created a model and we need to create getters and setters. Why? You will have a question like, why do we have to create getters and setters and all those things? Since these things are private, ID is private, string is private, name is private, and phone number is private. And if I don't create getters and setters, don't you think that, will I be able to access this ID, name, and phone number from this database helper class?
No.
No, I'll not be allowed to access it, correct? Because these things are private. So private variables cannot be accessed outside the class. It can be accessed only within the class. So now I'll just create an array list, and this array list is of type model. And now I'm sorry for just skipping here. So now we'll just create the setters and getters. So you don't have to do anything. Just right click again, go to generate, and then just tell setter and getter. Now select the setters and getters for all these things and just click on OK. And if you can see here, public int get ID, return the ID, and set ID, it will pass the ID and that ID will be set here. So in the same way, we have setters and getters for all the variables that are present here, all the private variables that are present here. Is that clear? Is anybody having any confusion at this point? Please do let me know so that we can solve the problem right now itself, and then we'll just proceed further. Guys, anybody having any trouble?
Ranjit, I have a question.
Go ahead, Anup.
Will this student class works without the overloaded constructed student?
Overloaded constructor student. This one?
Yeah.
Yes, it will work.
So we don't require to create, right?
If you want to pass something directly and then you need to set the student here, at that time you can just pass it and then do it. And without even having the overloaded constructor, you can make it work.
For initiating, we have a setters and getter method, right?
Yes, for initiating, you have setters and getters. But if you want to, initiate everything in single shot, then you must use the constructor.
Okay.
So that's why I just gave that constructor. Even without that constructor, the problem, it's not like very, very crucial at this point of time.
Okay.
It's not very crucial, but if it is there, then it will be good.
Okay.
If you want to, initialize ID, name, and phone number, all these things at one single shot, so you can just use that constructor and then you can just create the ID. Create the row. But if you want to use the setters and getters, you have to each and every time call the setter, set ID, pass ID, and then you need to set name and then pass the name. You need to tell set phone number and then pass the phone number. So instead of that, we'll just do it in one shot using the constructor, using the overloaded constructor.
Okay, but it doesn't going to create any problem having both the things.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Nowhere it just creates a problem.
Okay.
So in order to avoid your confusion, I've just removed the overloaded constructor. If required, we'll just add it a little later.
Okay.
So we have the database helper class. Now in this database helper class, what I'm telling is this returns an array list. Is that clear? And now what I'll do is I'll just go inside this one, and again I'll just create an array list which is of type student, and I'll call the object of this array list as students. Is that clear? And now I'll tell new array list of students. So now we have instantiated, I'm sorry. And now we have instantiated the student object. I mean the array list has been instantiated. Now, can you just tell me what is the procedure right now? Now, what is this first line doing? The first line is creating the query, and the next line is initiating the database with the readable format, and this cursor is it's executing this particular query using this database object. And now we'll check whether we have the first object which is present. I mean, whether we have a single value which is present in the database or single row which is present in the database. So if the single row is present, then it will return true. At that time, this if condition will become true. So it just gets inside this. And now what do we have to do?
So add the values to the students array.
Yes, well, add the values to the student array. And what kind of values can be added to the student array? Since it is of type student, you can only add the student object inside the student array. Is that clear? Since this array list is of type student, only the objects which are created for the student class can be added into this array list. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I'll do is, for that purpose, I'll just create a temporary student object. I'll just call it as student, and I'll tell new student. So I've just created a temporary object, and now this object, every time, after reading every single row, I'll add the student object into this array, so that this array is globally declared and this student object is locally declared. Is that clear? And now, how to retrieve all these values and how to give all these values to the student object. So whatever values we are printing right now, those values has to be given to the student object. So how can we do that? So like Swati, Radhika, you can answer it.
We need to set it using student.set ID set.
Yes. So we'll retrieve the ID using the get int, and the same thing, what we are going to do is we have the setters here. So we'll tell set ID and then pass this ID. So that ID will be set to this particular student, the ID which is present in the student class. So whatever we are extracting here, instead of using the log statements, we just now ignore the log statements for now. So what we'll do is we'll just tell student dot set ID, and what value has to be passed here?
ID.
Cursor dot get.
Yes.
Cursor dot get.
Yes. Cursor dot get int 0. Now what happens if I just execute this line? The student object's ID parameter will be set. If you just go and observe here, whatever ID is passed for the set ID, that ID will be set for the ID which is present here. Now the student object's ID variable will have a value right now. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear?
Yes,
Sanjay.
Okay. So now in the same way, we need to set the other two parameters also. For that, what we should do? Just tell student dot
Set name and set.
Yes, we'll tell set name.
Set
and
name.
We'll just tell student dot set phone number. Now what is the value that has to be passed here? What is the value that has to be passed inside this one?
Get string of one.
Get string 1.
You just tell cursor dot get string of 1 will pass the name, and if I tell cursor dot get string of 2, it will just retrieve the second column's value, and then it will pass it here. Now there's no need for this log statement. If you require the log statement, you can just keep it, or you can just remove it. That's dependent on you guys. If you want the log statement, if you want to see the log statement, just keep it, or else you just remove it. And now this student object has to be added to this student's array object. Is that clear? Yes, is that clear?
Yes, Anjit.
So it is students dot add. So dot add is a method which is given by the array list. And what is the thing that you need to add right now? You'll add the student object that you have. Is that clear? And now after your while has finished, what you'll tell, you'll just tell return students. Is that clear? You just tell return students. And now your main activity here, you can just create a capture here to catch whatever is returned. So I'll just create an array list here, and that array list is of type student. So I'll just name it as students and get all students. So here I'll tell students equal to get all students. And what are the values which are present inside students right now?
ID, name, and phone number.
Yes, it has multiple rows. It can have multiple rows, and each and every row or each and every list item has three things. One is ID, ID, phone number, and name. Is that clear?
Name.
And now, if you want to display that, on your front end, what you can do is, I'll just create a simple way, but you just change this simple way into the other way, that is using the list views. Is that clear?
Okay.
So just remove the text which is present here, and I'll just name it as display, and just give the ID as display. Now it is aligned to parent top, parent left, and start. I'll just remove it, and I'll tell center horizontal to true.
Ranjit, sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Is there any concept of grid in Android?
Yes, you have grid layouts.
Okay.
You have grid layouts, but popularly grid layouts will be used. But we'll not be using the native grid layouts which is supported or which is given by Android. So we'll always use the grid layouts by customizing the given grid layouts.
So like third-party packages?
We don't actually use third-party packages. We'll be using the relative layouts and linear layout itself. And by overriding that, we'll measure the width and height of the screen, and then we'll create different widgets, or you can also call that as a grid. So instead of using the grids which are given by Android itself, we'll be using other grids which are custom created.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Any doubts at this point?
No.
Anybody having any doubts at this point, guys? If you have any doubts, please let me know so that we can just clarify all the doubts at this point itself, and then we should just move to the next concept that we're going to learn.
No doubts, Ranjit.
Okay, then cool, no issues. So we'll just move ahead right now. Now I have got all the students, and now I have a display component. I have a component called as TextView to display. So now all the data, I'm planning to just dump it inside that TextView itself. So what I'll do is I'll just go to my main activity, and inside my main activity, what I'll do is I'll just create first thing is I'll just create an object for the text view which I have created here. So I have the text view which is created here. So I'll just create an object for this text view. So I'll just name it as display. And what is the next step? I'll just create an object now. And what is the next step that I have to do?
Find view by ID.
Yes, exactly. That's a routine that we carry out. So we'll just tell display equal to find view by, equal to find view by ID. And the ID of that one was display. So I just give it as display itself. And now I just typecast it. So display component is ready. Now what I should do is I should extract all the row values here, and I need to print it using this. Print it on this text view itself. Is that clear? So what we'll do is we can use a for loop, we can use a while loop, but I'll use a different loop at this time. It's called as a for each loop. It's not typical for loop that you guys use. It's a slightly modified version of that for loop. It's called as for each loop. So what I'll do is I'll just tell for, and now for each means for each student S. That is for each student S which is present in the students array. Students array, what I'll do is I'll just tell display dot set text, and here I'll be passing s dot get id, and then I'll just give a small space. Then I'll just tell s dot get name, and so in this portion what I'll do is I'll just give some gap here. There's some kind of space. Sorry. Yeah, here. And then again, I'll just tell s dot get phone, and then I'll close the braces. And at the end, what I'll do is I'll just give a plus symbol. I'll just put the new line character here. So what is this entire line doing?
Appending the row to the display one by one.
Yes, appending, and will not be using the set text here because set text will reset the text view. So instead of that, I'll use a method called as append. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear?
What will the set text will do?
Set text will just reset the values. That is, assume that you have one row present, and while the for loop is executing, the next row will override the first row, and then again set text will execute, the previously written row will be overwritten again. So append method will just add everything.
Okay.
Set text will just delete everything and then creates a new copy of the text that you pass.
Okay.
And now this is not your regular for loop that you'll be using. So if it was a regular for loop, you would have told something like this. So you would have told for something like int i equal to 0, and I is less than students dot size. Then you would have told I plus plus, and in the next line what you would have told is you would have told the get item thing. So you would have told students dot get, and then you would have told the index I here. So a single object will be passed. So that object that you would have told student s equal to this particular object, and then you would have told the same line. So this would have been your regular for loop. Is that clear, guys? This would have been your regular for loop, and now this is a new kind of for loop which was which was brought into Android after Android 1.6. So before 1.6, we were using the same technique, but after 1.6, Java 1.6, this newer concept was introduced. So we'll use the newer concept itself. So instead of using the old concept, that is a little lengthier process. And now instead of that, what here we are doing is we are creating a student object called as S. And now this auto incrementing, this value, initialization, this incrementation, everything will be done automatically from the for each loop. So the first time, 0th indexed object will be assigned with S. So we'll get all the values and then displayed. And for the next time of loop, it just goes here, get the second index, and the comparison will be done internally by the for each loop itself. Is that clear? And now I'll execute the program. And I'll execute the program right now. And this program will display, this program will just display all the values which are present in the database right now. Is that clear? Any doubts in the get all students method? Yes, if you have any doubts, please do let me know. This is the get all students method. So what I'm doing is I'm creating an array list. So basically the array which is capable of holding a single row. Array which is capable of a single array item is capable of holding all these three values is being created right now. Is that clear? And now using that, we are creating an array list by the name students. And now first thing that we do is we check whether it has it has at least one single row. Yes, if it has one single row, then we'll create a student object. We'll extract all the information from that row and give it to student object. And at the end, we'll add that student object to students, the list which we have. And then we'll check for the next item. Yes, if the next item is present, then again, just perform the same routine here. So it will just keep on rotating, keep on looping until it has the next row. Whenever it doesn't have the next row, this will return false. So the loop breaks at that point of time. Is that clear? And now we shall just see here. Now, can you see we have like 12 rows and all the data present in the 12 rows are being printed right now. Any doubts at this point? Guys, any of you have any doubts at this point?
No.
No doubts at all?
No, Ranjit.
No, Ranjit.
Cool. So Manav, Pratap, you guys have any doubts? Guys, any doubts at this point? Yeah, okay, cool now. So we shall just jump to the next topic of discussion. So we have seen how to retrieve all the student details. Now we'll see how to delete and how to update a particular student detail or a particular row in the database, or how to update a particular row in the database, or how to update how to delete a particular row in the database. Is that clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So cool now. So we'll be starting with the new topic wherein we'll learn about how to insert, how to update a particular row and how to delete a particular row. Okay. So I'll just start that right now. So guys, is my screen visible?
Yes, Ranjit.
Okay, cool. So we have these things like database provider. Now we'll see how to update a single row and how to delete a single row. So we have seen how to add a contact, and we'll see how to update the contact, and how can you, remove a particular contact. So first thing, to update, what is the necessary data that you require? You need to first make sure that which row needs to be updated. Is that clear? So you have all these things. Now you need to know which row has to be updated at this point. Whether you need to update a row, you need to update the row with the ID 6, or you need to update the rows which has the name as 1, 2, 3, 4, or you need to update the phone number which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those things you can just take into consideration. So right now I'll just take into consideration like whichever rows has the value as 1, 2, 3, 4 has to be changed to Acadgild. So that is my first condition right now. Is that clear?
Okay.
Now, so I'll update the contact. I'll update the student database. I'll update the student database based on the student name. So whoever is that student, if that student has the name as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then what I want is I want that name to be changed to Acadgild. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear?
Yes, Ranjit.
Okay, cool now. So what I'll do is I'll just create a method right now. So I'll just create a method right now, stating that method as public void update student. So I'll tell public void update student. And now what are the parameters that you require right now? So if you're updating, okay, I'll just name it as update student by name. So what are the parameters that you require right now?
Maybe primary key and a name.
Primary key and a name, or you can just have the old name. So here
Okay.
what I want to do is I want to rename all the rows which has the name as 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll just tell old name and new name. Is that clear?
Yeah.
And now here I've just opened the database. So I'll just close the DB object. Now, in which mode should I open the database right now?
Right table.
I'm sorry?
Right table.
Yes, you need to open the database in the writable mode. Is that clear? You need to open in the writable mode. Is that clear, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I'll be doing is I'll just tell db. So db equal to this dot get writable database. Now we have opened the db in the writable database. Is that clear? And
Yeah.
the next thing that I'll be doing is, if you want to update the contact contact number also along with it, that's fine with it. So you can update the contact number also. So instead of telling, I'll just give phone number. And now what I'll do is I'll just prepare the content values first. So it's almost similar to your insert method itself. So you just tell content values and you just put all those values there. So in the same way, I'll just tell content values and I'll just create an object called as values. For this, I'll just create new content values. And now I'll prepare these rows. So what I'll do is I'll just prepare rows for these two things. So I'll tell values dot put, and the key for this one is call underscore name. So I'll just pass the new name here, and I'll just tell values dot put. I'll just tell call underscore phone number, and I'll just give the other ones as phone number. And now what I'll do is I'll just tell db dot update. Now I'm using a method, I'm using a method called as update. So now I need to update the values here. So this updating requires different things. I'll just show you what are the parameters which are required. First thing is the table name, the values, and the third thing is you need to give the where clause. That is where you need to update the values. Based on what criteria you are updating the values. So that thing has to be given here, and you need to where clause is here, and the where arguments you're going to provide at the last stage. Is that clear? Yes, is that clear? Now I'll explain you what are all these things right now. Just close this one. We have update. Now where we need to update, we need to give the table name. So I'll just give tab name, and values is given by values here. And now the next part is it's asking for a string which determines the where clause. Is that clear? And now where do you need to update the value? You guys tell me where do you need to update the value?
Name and phone.
Name and phone. And which name and phone value has to be updated?
Old name.
Wherever the name is equal to 1, 2, 4, 5.
Yes, wherever the name is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only at that place you need to update the value. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So what we'll do here is, so which is that column which has the name? So I forgot the name. So I'll just tell call name. So where call name equals to question mark. So just tell where column name equal to question mark, and then you just pass on a new string array right now. Is that clear? You just create a new string array, and here you just pass on the where clause. And where clause is telling you the old name. So wherever the column name is equal to the old name, only at that point you just replace it with the new name and phone number. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear?
Ranjit, can you read the update statement as a SQL query?
Okay, you want to, you want this update statement as a SQL query, is it?
Yeah.
So SQL query is like update table, and then you pass the table name, and you just give the where clause.
So update my student information where
yes. Go ahead.
Where column name will be
column name. Whatever the column name. Column name is equal to this. Column name is equal to the old name. So why we are giving this old name is because you can have multiple where clause also. So you can tell where column name is equal to something, and then the phone number is also equal to something. So you can tell something like this. So at that time you need to give two constraints here. So for that you can just give one more constraint here, where the phone number is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where the phone number is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can have two different where clause.
okay.
So right now I just have a single where clause. That is what I am doing here is I'm just giving a question mark, and that question mark represents that the value will be given by this one. So I'm telling where column name is equal to the old name. This call name is equal to the old name. So what does old name has the value here? That you don't know. Basically, even you don't know. So that part will be given by this one. So what I'll do is just before doing this itself, I'll tell tb dot update student by name, and I'll pass the student name here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 1, 2, 4, 5. And I'll just, next parameter is a new name. So I'll just give the new name as Acadgild. And the phone number is something like 1800, some number like this, 1800. And now if I execute this particular application, so all the rows which has the name as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be changed to Acadgild. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear?
Yeah. Is there any existing row with the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yes, that is what I was showing you. There is a row with, it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 1, 2, 4, 5.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So
I was looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
so you can just see here. You can see here the name as 1, 2, 4, 5.
Okay.
So wherever the name is 1, 2, 4, 5, that will be replaced with Acadgild.
Okay.
Any doubts on this point? I mean, in this particular topic that we have learned? Guys, any doubts at this point of time?
No.
No doubts at all?
Ranjit, can you get back to the query
Yes.
method?
Yes. And now you'll have a doubt like the values hasn't been changed. Was this the doubt?
Yeah.
That is because our update is executing here and retrieving the contacts is being done here.
Okay.
So first we are retrieving and then we are trying to print it on the screen. So what
Okay.
I'll do is I'll just create a scroll view right now. So since our data is going to be too long, so I'll just create something like a scroll view and I'll give all this namespace and everything to the scroll view itself. So scroll view is basically something like your image, which gives a scroller. Is that clear? So width, I'll just name it as match parent, and the height, I'll just make it as match parent itself.
And between Ranjit, I have a question.
Yeah.
So how? So you told about the scroll view when it is when your page is longer than your screen.
Yes.
So how would you make your screen to adjustable when if you are going to print something and your keypad or keyboard, whatever it is, are going to occupy half a page and you want to click OK button, but it has to be above the keyboard. But normally it will be at the bottom.
Yeah, you have something like scroll views set focusable thing. So you can just make it always at the bottom. So when you just pop out the keyboard, at that time you can make your the end of the list view to be on top of the keyboard.
Okay, what it is? Scroll view?
You can just set the focus thing for scroll view. You need to create the scroll views object and you can set the focusable for scroll view. That is how WhatsApp does basically. No other app, Telegram and all those things, they haven't taken care of all those things, but WhatsApp eventually does. Whenever you click on that edit text, you'll just pop out the keyboard, but still your last chat will be visible on top of your keyboard.
Yeah, correct. Actually, when I was doing a credit card UA, I was about to ask this question, but I missed it somehow.
Okay, cool. No issues. So now I've just executed this application. I'm sorry, shouldn't have executed. So what I'll do is I'll just copy the same thing and just so I'll just put it at the end, and I think it is executing now, and now you could see the changes which will be made. Let it execute. In the meanwhile, we'll just concentrate on this one. I'll just copy the same thing here. Just paste it here. Can you see this? Acadgild, and finally you have something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, because this is the new insertion which just took place. Is that clear? And now what I've done is I've just created a copy after that also, so you can see after and before effect. Yes, is that clear? First it will print all the values and it will update all these things, and then again it prints all the values. You guys are getting what I'm doing, or you're not getting?
Ranjit, can you go to the main you are in main activity, right?
Yes, I'm in main activity itself.
Okay, so you are so our method for updating gets executed first, and then for inserting it is again executed.
No. What happens is first insert is getting executed, and after that
Okay.
you're getting all the student details. And after you retrieve the student details, again the database is being changed here.
But the changes are not reflected for the new values.
Yes, it is because you have already retrieved. The retrieval from database is already done. After retrieving, the change is being made. That's
But
why
still it is.
that's why I created something like this. Can you see 1 to 18 right now?
Yeah.
What is the 17th value?
1245.
1245. So I'll just scroll down and I've extracted the values again. So can you see the 17th value being changed to Acadgild?
Yes.
Because the first time your retrieval is done, at that time those 18 rows are printed.
Okay. Okay.
18 rows are printed, the update is taking place. And after updating, again I'm printing the 18 values.
Okay.
So you're getting that effect.
Yeah.
Is that clear now?
Yes, Ranjit.
Now in the same way, you can create delete method also. So I'll just tell public void delete student by name. So I'll just give like delete student by name, and this method I'll just tell and just accepts the name parameter here. Is that clear? It's not new name this time. It is going to be just name. Is that clear? It's just going to be name, and now we are deleting a particular row. So in which mode do we have to open the database here? We need to open the database again in the writable mode itself. Is that clear? So
Yeah.
I close the DB here. And now again, I just tell db dot something get in writable mode. In writable mode, but this time I'll tell db dot. This time it's not going to be update, it is going to be delete, and even delete is giving you the same things, but you don't have content values. You have just a where clause and you have just the where parameters here. So I'll just tell delete, and whatever I have told here, the same things I'll be passing the values here. But we don't have something like content values, so I'll remove the content values. Instead of old name, I'll just tell name. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear? Now
Yes, Ranjit.
I'll remove all the rows which has the name as XYZ. XYZ. So what I'll do here is I'll just tell db dot. Okay, what is the name of that? I just forgot.
Delete.
Delete student by name. delete student by name. Now I'll just pass something like X, Y, Z. And after doing that, I'll just retrieve all the students, and then again I'll print all the values. Is that clear? Now I'm executing the same thing. So let's check out what is happening. Hello, guys, you there?
Yes, Ranjit.
Yes, Ranjit.
Okay, cool, no problem. Yes, the app has got installed right now. So can you see Acadgild? So how many rows do we have right now? In the first instance, we have 20 rows. And 19th row is 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean 1, 2, 4, 5. And 28th row is XYZ. And now what I'm doing is, can you see here? The 19th row has to be modified. So can you see the 19th row is being modified to Acadgild right now? And after doing that, can you see all like 2 and then 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, all these values being disappeared because I've just deleted all the rows which has the name as XYZ. So if you see a 20th row as XYZ, 18th row as XYZ, 16th row as XYZ, 14th row as XYZ. So all these values are removed right now. Is it clear? Guys, is this clear?
Yes.
So any doubts at this point? Guys, any doubts at this point?
No, Ranjit.
Nobody has a doubt at this point?
So,
Manav, Tap, Radhika, you guys have no doubts?
No, Ranjit.
Okay. So if you guys have no doubts, then I'm just done with databases. So I'll just pass on. I mean, I think you all of you have received the assignments. So please, do the assignment, and I'm sending you the updated code. So what I'll do is I'll just resend the previous session email itself, so that you'll get to know what it is. So I'm just resending the previous session email itself with the updated source file. Is that clear? With the updated source file, I'm just sending you the email. And if you have any doubts, please send an email to me. I'll be here to help you. Any other doubts, guys?
Ranjit, last day I have mailed you the error which I was getting for ABM.
ABM, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't actually checked that. So I'll just check that and I'll get back to you. I think maybe tomorrow I'll just get back to you.
Okay.
Ranjit, one more doubt. The for loop we have used here,
Yes.
it would start printing from the 0th value itself.
Yes, exactly.
So is there any way we can start it from the point where we want it to start?
Then you have to use a normal for loop instead of using this for loop.
So this can only be used when we want to print it from the starting itself.
Yes, yes. Starting till the end. Any other questions?
Ranjit, I have a common question.
Go ahead.
So how much will be useful since it is on a SQLite database and it has to be present inside your application, and you
Yes.
don't want to be grow more than a particular MB size.
Okay.
So probably you won't require a developer to store your data inside the SQLite DB, right?
Yes.
So you won't encourage actually while developing it.
So if it is a very, very lightweighted data, then we'll encourage them to store it. But all the crucial information should not be stored inside SQLite. Has to be present on the cloud or in anywhere which is very secure.
And one more is, as I asked already, is this the current way? The code looks very much clumsy and more number of statements we need to write.
So you can just create different objects. You can just create different models and just keep it as a different separate class. I mean, separate models there, so that you can use it as and when it is required.
Okay.
So the activity might look a little clumsy, but the database helper class is it's organized in a decent way.
Okay.
Definitely, main activity is not in the proper shape. Just to demonstrate you guys, I've just used all these ways. But this is definitely not recommended for you guys to create it. Always use list views instead of using a text view, appending and all those things.
Okay.
In that way, you can just provide best practices for the UI design.
Okay.
So just use the best practices for the backend design. For the UI design, you can just use the best practices in a different way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you ever designed such an application which you required a SQLite database for storing this?
I've just designed some basic quiz-based application for one of my clients. That's all.
Okay.
Not a huge app.
Oh, okay.
That was not crucial. I mean, there's no crucial data inside that, so it's okay to just have local DB.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one more common question: what about the demand for on-site professional developers in the market right now?
It's quite high.
Is it?
Yeah.
So something what they require is for business. So for people business people who won't take their laptops to look for what is available in the particular application. They want always a mobile that they carry out.
They want a mobile solution which is very lightweighted.
Yeah. So they'll always probably look for the mobile for comfortability and also easy to access the applications.
Yes, that's really good.
So what are the applications?
I'm sorry?
What are the kind of business applications are mostly welcomed in the Android market?
E-commerce. E-commerce is the best thing that is going on currently, and
so e-commerce is it's common people. Everyone will use the e-commerce. What about the business people?
Business people, banking applications are hot right now. And you have e-commerce, and you have something like if you're targeting for student based, something like that. So some kind of entertainment apps and something like lifestyle based apps. So plenty of things, fitness based apps and all these things. There's not a one-stop solution. That's all.
Okay. Any idea about supply chain areas?
Supply chain areas, leads, like the CRM based solution, CRM kind of solution.
Yeah.
If you could just provide some kind of solutions like that in the Android device, then it's cool. Yes.
Is there any requirement for that in the market?
Yes, they have a huge demand, and there are no players in that particular area right now.
Okay, actually they have a business intelligence tool for providing their mobile level support.
But there's no CRM solution on the phone.
Okay.
You just have it on the web, but you don't have it on the phone right now.
What about BI, MicroStrategy BI?
I'm sorry.
I'm Even I'm not sure about it. Okay.
I don't have any idea about that. I
Okay.
don't want to
Okay.
comment on that.
Okay. Thanks, Ranjit. Thanks for your ideas.
Sure, cool, no issues.
And one more question. How
Yeah.
about certified programmer for Android?
Certified programmer.
What certification has to be done by the Android professional?
There's no such thing called as global level certification.
Okay.
So everybody just looks into your knowledge, not your certificate.
Okay. So even for at least an entry level, you can show it.
Yeah, at least for the entry level, you can just show that you've learned all these things. But
Okay.
at certain level, they won't even consider your certification. Certification
Okay.
is just to show off. That's all.
Okay.
The basic thing which is required is knowledge. I mean, everywhere you just they just test your knowledge and then only taking it. No, it's not like
Yeah.
previous thing. Your outfit or your way of talking, your this that doesn't even work today. Like, they just target on your knowledge and what is your behavior and how you perform. That's all.
Yeah. Even now, Infosys changed their way of hearing the reward drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ranjit. Thanks for sharing.
Okay, then. Cool. Enough. And anybody has any such doubts or questions or something you want to share, something like that? Okay, guys. Then if you don't have anything, then probably like I've already mailed you, so I think you would have got that in your inbox right now. So please just have a look into that. And if you have any questions or any trouble or any doubts as such, send me an email. I'll be here to help. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye. Bye, Ranjit.
Bye bye. Take care.